Meg has always been seen as a kind-hearted teen, but throughout the seasons we have often seen a darker side of her. Today, I will be showing you my top 5 of the worst things Meg has ever done. If you like my video, even just a little, please make sure to give a like, it really helps and I would really appreciate it a lot. Let's get started. Number 5. Got Brian hated by the entire city for being an atheist. We start the episode at the Star Trek convention where Peter pushes Meg into a man with mumps in order to take a photo. She then contracts the disease and becomes bedridden and turns in for TV for entertainment. This is where she finds the religion channel starring Kirk Cameron, and she ends up becoming religious as she feels unappreciated by her family. Just look how kindly Peter treats her.
Meg, your mother made soup for you. Here you go, honey.
Well, you know who does love you? The Lord.
Here's your milk.
She then continues to preach to the family until Brian lets out that he is an atheist.
Willing to open yourself up to God's truth?
Oh, you're barking up the wrong tree, Meg. I'm an atheist.
What's that?
I don't believe in God.
What? Brian, how can you say that?
Why, I just thought you knew. I mean, I'd never go to church. You know how I feel about that.
She then tries to convert him, and when that fails, she reports him to the news and gets him hated by the entire city. He finally sets her straight by dropping some cold, hard truths.
If there were a God, would he have put you here on Earth with a flat chest and a fat ass?
I'm made in his image.
Really? Would he give you a smoking hot mom like Lois and then have you grow up looking like Peter?
Damn, Brian put her in her place, but she only gets worse from here. Number 4. Robbed every senior citizen at a retirement home. In the 16th episode of the 14th season, Meg is given a school project to volunteer at a senior folks home. When she arrives, it doesn't take long for her to start being a terrible person, but Granny isn't having none of it.
And between you and me, I hate my new student volunteer. That ugly little Meg. She says she's a girl, but she certainly has a boy's body odor.
She then finds a golden brooch and decides to steal it as payback, and eventually steals more stuff and even gets her brother Chris involved. We actually get a pretty funny scene of the two robbing an old lady.
Who's there? Why are you in my room?
Oh, hi! You died, and I'm here to take you to heaven. Upsy daisy, here we go!
In the end, they decided to bring the stuff back only to be caught. Meg was then rightfully punished by the old lady.
Sit down. Now I feel some dementia coming. Feed me pudding while I grip your wrist in terror. This isn't my house.
Number 3. Kidnapped Brian and held him against his will. In Season 5, Episode 8, Meg is seen crying because she is not able to find a date to go to the dance with her. Not even Jeremy wanted to go with her.
Hi, Jimmy. I heard you didn't have a date to the dance, and I was wondering if you'd like to go with me.
Oh, hang on. I'd love to go, Meg, but I have to go to my little brother's funeral that night.
She then begins to threaten to cut herself, which forces Brian to be her date. My man was not happy he had to be with her, and Stewie was just loving it. Honestly, this being one of the earlier seasons and watching it at the age of 12, I always found it weird how Meg was going out with a literal dog and nobody was saying anything. Brian is then seen talking to Meg until they get an unexpected visitor.
You know, Meg, there's no dogs allowed here, so you're gonna have to leave. But Brian can stay.
You know, Connie, I think I have a theory about why you're such a bitch. You're popular because you developed early and started putting out when you were 12, but now you can't stand to look at yourself in the mirror because all you see is a whore. So you pick on Meg to avoid the inevitable realization that once your body's used up by age 19, you're gonna be a worn-out, chalky-skinned burlap sack that even your stepdad won't want. How's that? Am I in the ballpark?
And this is where things start to get freaking weird. They start making out. 12-year-old me's first introduction to bestiality. Wanted to cut my freaking eyes out. Brian, obviously understanding that this is wrong, tries to break up with her. But seeing as the crazy bitch that Meg is, it doesn't go quite as planned. She then bakes him a pie with hair in it. What the fuck? Meg looks like she is taking this exceptionally well. Lois then forces Brian to make things right, only to find out that Meg is just batshit crazy. She then kidnaps him, reminder that this is a dog, and takes him to a hotel to have her way with him.
So, are you ready?
For what?
For the fun we're gonna have, Brian. We're gonna have fun tonight. Good, old-fashioned, all-American fun!
Honestly, I'm starting to believe she deserves all the hate and bullying she receives, even from her family. Number 2. Meg becomes a hardened criminal. In Season 8, Episode 11's Dial Meg for Murder, Meg falls in love with a convicted prisoner named Luke and is seen visiting him in prison. Luke ends up escaping the prison and is finally able to be with Meg. However, this doesn't last long since Peter finds Luke and alerts Joe, which chases him down the street and eventually recaptures him. Joe then decides to arrest Meg as well.
Well, if you're taking him to jail, you have to take me too!
I know, that's the plan. You're under arrest for harboring an escaped convict.
Oh, well, that's only fair because after all, I did hide him from the— What?!
Meg spends the entire 3 months in jail, which ends up changing her for the worst. She wasn't putting up with anyone's crap. Just look at what happened to Peter.
First question. Who's the biggest, toughest guy in this house?
Well, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I believe I hold the distinction of...
Meg finally got some payback for all the years Peter has mistreated her, but her savagery didn't end there.
Hey, Meg, are you gonna take those soda cans to the Shaw Skank Redemption Center?
She finally ends up kidnapping Brian and tries to rob more before Brian ends up convincing her not to go through with it. Despite all this is still not the worst thing she has ever done. And finally, number 1. Tried to drug her own brother so that a random guy could have his way with him. Season 11 Episode 8's episode Friends Without Benefits begins with Meg's daydreaming over a boy named Kent. She finally gets the courage to give him a call, and when he says yes to her hangout proposal, she mistakes it as a love interest. She tries to make several moves on him, but it is very clear that he isn't interested in her at all. It's kind of painful to watch. It turns out that Ken is actually gay and wants to be with Chris. So what does Meg do? She asks Chris to sleep with him and try to describe it to her. Of course he says no. And what does she do?
Oh, hi, Meg.
Hi, Mr. Quagmire.
What can I do for you?
I was wondering if I could borrow some roofies?
Oh, sure. Just a sec.
She planned to actually roofie Chris. What in the actual fuck is this fuckery? After the plan is over, Kent showed up and the truth is finally revealed.
Like I said, I changed my mind. I didn't do it, but, I was kind of gonna roofie you.
What? What is wrong with you?
Rightfully so, both Chris and Kent are disgusted with Meg, and honestly, I feel like she got off way too easy with such a messed up thing. This to me is definitely one of the worst things Meg has ever done. Thank you so much for watching. It feels good to post again, and hopefully you'll have me for another video this Thursday. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like and comment. It helps a lot. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.